All right. Thank you for checking out this video. This is Cat on the Back with a new update on the beat 'em up game that I'm currently working on. But before I get started, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that you're notified each and every time I put a new post out of I release a new video or a new update to the devlog. All right, so let's get into this. In the previous video, I went over all the changes that were made in the game from the first video, from part one. In part one, in the previous video, I showed how we made changes to the player scripts, and I showed you how we added the enemies into it, added the enemies there, and then added the spawning system, and then we added in the screen scrolls. And like I told you in the previous one, uh, actually, let me bring up the previous project, the old project, because this is the new one that I'm showing you right here. But here's the old project right here. Okay, you see in the previous project, I made a change. The only change that I made so far was to the scrolling screens, and I really wanted to show this because remember how I said at the end of the previous video that I took this script really from the Construct 3 tutorial on for beat 'em ups. I think it's called Monk Fight or Fight Monks or something like that. So I went ahead and I took this out of that game and kind of just reworked it and made it something that I wanted to use. And I said that I really didn't like how the script worked, so I said I might keep it or I might change it, and this is what I did. So pretty much, this is the old script where you see that I'm using all these variables and functions right here. This basically checking, basically making so that the camera always follow the player only if scrolling is equal to true, then the camera will follow the player. If not, then the player will be locked into a particular area until all enemies are defeated. And that's pretty much what all this does right here. Because basically that's what this does right here. And then if the player collides with a zone object, and basically goes ahead and spawns the players in that zone where the player is located at, and before the player can move to throughout the area again, you got to defeat the enemies, and if the enemies are less than zero, or equal to less than zero, then he could scroll again. That's pretty much what happened. Let me actually go over. Let me actually show what that script was doing before. Now I can show you real quick. Actually, why did it do that? I don't know, but we'll go ahead and go back to the actual game. All right, here it is. All right, so here's what it was doing so far. All right, we go in here. All right, so the enemies spawn. We defeat the enemies, and you see that they're glitching out. Still gotta work on that. But you see that now I could scroll and go to this area, and then hit the enemies again, kill them. All right, now I can go ahead and start scrolling again. But this is where I had issues at, where I was trying to get this to go down, but I had a lot of issues working with that. But also, I didn't really like this system anyway. I wanted something where I had a little bit more control, where I could have more control over the camera. But so this is how it used to run. No, this is how it's running right now. Let me go ahead and move this project out of the way, and I'll show you this one, because this one is completely different. What I'm doing here, I created something called a new variable object called zone check. I mean camera check, and I set it to an ID, and then I set an ID to that zone check. And what I did was I have it so that construct by itself goes ahead and automatically applies an ID to each zone, to each camera check, automatically through this loop feature right here. I took this I got this idea out of from a tutorial on YouTube. I can't remember the person's name at the moment. Um, but I took this out of a tutorial just to do that. And then also what I did was I added in each zone into the map. Now this could feel like I have a little bit more control, and you kind of see this. So you got, these are the camera checks, and each one, basically what happens is, well, how we have this working is, when, if enemies to beat is less than equal to 0, then what happens is we check to see, is the player overlapping with the camera check. If yes, then we want to check to see where the camera is located. And with the camera is located, we want to basically set the camera ID to the ID of the camera check. So that means, that means if the player is in this area, as long as he's overlapping with this particular camera check, the camera's only going to remain in this area. If he moves over to this area, then the camera's going to slowly move over here into this area. That's pretty much how I have it programmed. So that's, and how we could show that through code is like right here. It says if it's overlapping, if it's overlapping with the code, if it's overlapping with the camera check, set the camera ID to the camera check ID. And then if the camera is overlapping the camera check, but then the ID of the camera check does not equal the camera's target, basically what the camera should be looking, where the camera should be looking at, then what we want to do, we want to move the camera to the targeted uh, camera check. And how we doing that, we ran a function here, where this function goes right here, basically stores it takes in the target ID, the camera check ID is equal to the target of this camera move. And what we did was we added a tween feature to it, and did a tween between two objects, and we basically move the camera to the new camera check image point X and image point Y of the camera check object. And how we did this, and reason why we do image point 1, because if I go into the object of camera check, we see that we have an origin point, which is at 0.0, which is here, but we added a image point 1 object, which is in the middle of the camera check, and this is where the camera is going to be located. It's going to be targeting, is the center of the camera check. All right, and after it does that, then we have a check for do a second check to make sure the camera, checking to see if the camera is not already set. So basically, if the target, so basically we have it so right here, because we basically are setting the camera. This is so like at the start of the game, because this is one issue I had when I was programming it and setting it up. I had an issue with the camera being outside of because the camera is right here outside of the layout. I wanted the camera to automatically move to this area right here. So that's what this is for. Basically saying, hey, if ID and camera target are the same, then I want to set the position of the camera check. Of the camera to camera check image point 1 X and image point 1 Y, pretty much. And that's all pretty much what it does. It will basically move. I'm not using any of these variables up here. Pretty much these are pretty much obsolete. I'll go ahead and I'm going to eventually remove these variables out of the objects and everything too. The instance variables that relate to the previous code out of the objects eventually, and remove these global variables in the future. But let's go ahead and see how the game runs very fast. All right. All right. So you see we're in our room. We see that we're in our first room, and so we're going to go ahead and run here. We're going to go to the edge of the camera check, and the camera automatically moves. So the camera has moved to the next room, and this is what we see. Now we're about to hit our target. So once we hit our target here, that's when the enemies come. and we go ahead and have to defeat the enemies. We can't move out the room unless we defeat the enemies. So we have to go, and they still running into each other. So that's one thing I can't move to another room. I can't go down. I can't do anything unless I defeat the enemies. So if I defeat the enemy, okay, so we see that we defeated one enemy. I want to work on trying to get the enemies to stop getting stuck on each other like this. All right, so we see that now. Our enemies to beat are is equal to 0. Now we could go ahead and move on to the next room. And then we go ahead and move here. We got our enemies that's showing. We go ahead and target. Once again, I'm going to try to figure out how to fix that stop them from getting stuck on each other. But now we defeated them. Now we go on to the next room. And we go to this target. And we go ahead and defeat the enemies. It kind of makes it too easy when they get um, stuck on each other like that. I'm gonna have to fix that, cause they literally was just standing in the line waiting for me to defeat them. All right, so we go to the next room. You see that there's nothing here for no target, nothing here, no triggers here. We go to the next room. Go to the center of the room. Boom. We got 4 enemies. We go ahead and defeat these enemies. And then there we go. Cause that's pretty much it. Cause I only have those couple of rooms. But you see, I like how this camera moves a lot more. Even though it gives me a much more better feel, and I feel like and also the way that I set this up, it's very easy to do level design. Um, so I really like this how the camera is functioning now compared to how it was before. But that's pretty much it regarding this video. That's it for regarding the updates. So like I said, the only update that I really made was adding this camera scroll. It was updating the camera scroll feature. And what I'm gonna do, I'm not sure. I'm just continue to work on the game. The game is continuously improving each and every day. And as time move forward, it's going to hopefully in the next, I would say, couple weeks, maybe a month, this may be a full-fledged game. Right now, just getting all the features added in and things like that, get everything working right before I start working on like doing a complete like level design, the game, basically iron out and getting the game fully functioning. So pretty much just getting all the characters, the enemies, and everything working first. Then I could go ahead and focus on level design. But you see, after looking at this, it's pretty much how I have the camera check set up. It makes it so easy to make a level, and I actually was impressed with this. Um, in fact, it was just like I said, it was a tutorial that I saw on YouTube. I'm trying to remember who it was that I was looking at. Uh, I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel I was looking at. Uh, but yeah, but that's pretty much it. But other than that, this is pretty much all that I have. Once again, if you like the content that I put out, please go ahead and hit that like and the subscribe button so that you're notified once again each and every time I put out a video or a new update to this devlog. Um, Also, if you want to play other games that I've worked on in the past, please go ahead and go into the description below. You can look at the links there and get the links taking you to the 3 games that I made in the past. Okay, other than that, I thank you for checking out this video, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace.